Today we take a look at two ALPS Mountaineering tents. We're going to take a look at the Meramac 6 and the Taurus 6. Check it out. Hey guys, I'm Kevin with Kemp Outside, your inside source for all things outside. Today I'm out here at Fort McAllister State Park, just south of Savannah on the Georgia coast, and we are having a blast camping. I have both of my ALPS Mountaineering tents set up today. I have the Meramac 6 right here, and I have the Taurus 6 right here. I have them both set up. We used them on this camping trip, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to take a look at the differences between these two tents. That way, if you're considering a tent with either a partial coverage rainfly or a full coverage rainfly, you can see the difference and make the decision for yourself. I really like both these tents, guys, but there are some downsides to both. We'll take a look at it. Check it out. So guys, we'll start off by taking a look at the Taurus 6 by ALPS Mountaineering, and I did a full review of this tent, so if you haven't seen that, I'll put a link right up here. You can check that out. And guys, this is a 10 by 10 6-man tent. So again, I never really rely on the number of people figures that are provided by tent manufacturers. Subtract one or two. This is a great 4-person tent or a small family tent or a couple's tent if you want a little bit of room and the ability to stand up. So this is a great little dome tent, and I really like dome tents, guys, because dome tents perform pretty well in wind and rain, and so I like a dome tent. Although there are some downsides. Number one, if you're taller than 6 feet, you're not going to be able to stand up anywhere straight in this tent. If you're under 6 feet, the only place you're going to be able to stand up straight is probably towards the center of the tent. But you still are able to stand up straight, which is nice when changing clothes or just spending some time in the tent. So I really like that feature. I like having a tent that's 6 feet tall in the center. And then this tent is a full coverage rainfly tent. So the rainfly goes all the way to the bottom in all sides of the tent. This tent also does have some roof vents, which gives you some ventilation, which is good. Although I don't really like these roof vents, guys. If you have any rain coming in sideways, there's not enough overlap of material, and you will get rain inside those roof vents. So if it's raining and blowing outside, it doesn't matter if it's hot and muggy, you're going to want to close those vents, which ALPS Mountaineering, I think you could have done a better job on that. I'm a little disappointed, but hey, I'll take the roof vents for the good weather. Let's take a look inside and we'll go through some of the features. So something I really like about this tent is that it has 2 doors, a front door and a rear door. That's great if you're camping with multiple people so that you don't have to step over people to get in and out. It does have ventilation up in the roof. It has a nice gear loft, and the doors both have windows so that if you do have the vestibules open to get some airflow, you can still close those up or have them open with screen mesh so that you can get some air movement without bugs. Like I said, guys, this is a 10 by 10 footprint. I'm standing up straight. I'm just under 6 feet tall. I can stand under the gear loft, which is nice. So this tent is a great option for small families or couples or even maybe some adventurous people. Some of the things I don't like so much about this tent is that there's not a lot of mesh on the inside of this tent. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because with a full coverage rainfly, why not have the majority of the interior be mesh? If I'm camping in the summertime, there's not a whole lot of airflow in this tent. This tent can get pretty hot. So it's a great cold weather tent, but not so great if you're camping in warm weather. It's kind of warm here this week at Fort McAllister State Park. It was warm in here. If you're camping in this tent in warm weather, you're going to want a battery-operated fan, no doubt about it. While this tent has a full coverage rainfly, it does not have a ridge pole or a brow pole, meaning it is a simple 2-pole design. It has the cross poles for the dome tent, for the main body of the tent, and the rainfly just gets pulled over the top and then is staked out around the tent body. This is really good for setup, but not very good for using vestibule space. It's very hard to stand up inside the vestibule, especially if you're a big guy like me. And the zipper all the way down to the bottom is pretty far out from the main body of the tent. So if you've got any mud or wetness outside the tent, it's going to be kind of uncomfortable to unzip that inside the vestibule. So you definitely need to be a little flexible. If you have mobility issues, this is not the full coverage rainfly tent for you. But if you are somewhat limber or small or can get down there to that zipper and get that zipper closed all the way on this on this vestibule, then you should not have any problems at all. Overall, guys, I really do like this tent though, because I like how well it performs in the wind. With the sloping nature of the rainfly, wind goes right over it, and with the full coverage rainfly itself, it does protect from the rain really well. There's only two things I would change about this tent. Number one, I would expand the roof vents so that they have more coverage so that you can leave them open during wind and rain. And then the other thing is I would increase the amount of mesh inside the tent. The other thing that I would do, guys, is I would put a rain guard on the door zippers for the body, because if you're camping in warm weather, you're going to want to leave that vestibule door open, and it would be really nice that just in case you got a little rainstorm or something like that, the zipper would be protected from rain like they do on the Meramac 6, which is their partial coverage rainfly tent that's very similar. So there's just a few things that I think ALPS Mountaineering could have done better on this tent, but all in all, guys, if you are looking for a six-man full coverage rainfly tent, I would seriously consider the Taurus 6 from ALPS Mountaineering. Next, we're going to take a look at the Meramac 6 and look at the differences. Okay, here's a look at the Meramac 6 from outside the tent, and as you can see, it is a partial coverage rainfly tent, which makes getting in into and out of this tent fantastic. It's very easy to get in and out of this tent. This is the tent my mom uses when I take her camping with us. She's 71 years old, and she's able to get into and out of this tent pretty easily because she doesn't have to deal with the zipper of a full coverage rainfly. So she's able to get into and out of that tent really easily. Of course, the downsides to a partial coverage rainfly is less protection during wind and rain. So if it's windy, wind can get up underneath that rainfly and pull on it and can cause some problems. And then, of course, the other issue is rain. So in a partial coverage rainfly, the tent body itself, the inner wall of the tent, is going to get wet with rain. Now, if you have a tent with a good DWR, a durable water repellent rating, then you should have no problems with rain. So this tent has been rained on a number of times. It's been in a number of storms. It's been bone dry inside. So I can definitely recommend the Meramac 6 from ALPS Mountaineering in that regard. But again, it is a 2-season, 3-season tent. So if you're going to be camping in some really bad weather, you're going to want that full coverage rainfly. Let's go inside and take a look. So the interior of this tent is very similar to the Taurus 6. It has the same doors, it has the same door windows, but it does have more mesh down on the sides of the tent. It also has some mesh in the roof. Now, this rainfly does not have roof vents, but because of the awnings and the nature of the opening at the doors, you don't really need them. There's plenty of roof air blowing through here. This tent does get a lot more airflow than the Taurus 6, I think both because of the amount of mesh, but also because of the partial rainfly. So this tent will perform better in warm weather as long as it's not too windy or rainy. Also, guys, I can stand up in this tent as well. It's over 6 feet tall. I don't have the gear loft in this one, but if I did, I could still stand underneath the gear loft. So this tent is a great option for small families or couples who want a tent with a partial coverage rainfly. So let's do a walk around on these tents to take a look at some of the features. As you can see, the rainfly is tied out at the bottom on the sides, which is nice. It offers a lot of ventilation. There is the mesh on those sides as well. So as I come in to the tent, you can see the mesh on the inside of the Meramac 6. Right, and then we'll head over to the Taurus 6, and you can see how the rainfly without a ridge pole or a brow pole can be pretty tight at the top. But it does give you a lot of room to store a pack or something like that if you need to. So here's a look inside the Taurus 6, and you can see how much less mesh there is. There's mesh up at the top, as I mentioned, but not a lot of mesh on the sides of this tent, and to me that is the biggest disappointment. Let's take a look at the roof vents. Of course, it's flied out at the bottom. There are also tie outs on all four corners of both tents. But here is the roof vent, and as you can see, if you had sideways rain, water would get up in there for sure. Here's a look at the closed vestibule on the Taurus 6, and you can see how well it would protect from the wind as it's got a great slant. And then the ridgepole of the Meramac 6 and how you could see that that would catch wind in a bad storm. So we'll head over to the Meramac again, and you can see what the Meramac looks like with a closed door. And again, I think both of these tents are great. It's just a question of what features do you want. So guys, if you want to check out my review of the ALPS Mountaineering Meramac 6, I'm going to put a link to it right up here so you can check that out. And guys, basically my final thoughts on these is that if they combine these two tents, I would have the ideal dome tent. So if I could get a tent with a full coverage rainfly, but the mesh of the Meramac 6 and the ridgepole of the Meramac 6, but the full coverage rainfly of the Taurus with roof vents that were a little bit better, a little bit bigger, a little bit more protected from rain, I would have the perfect tent. So that's kind of why I have both. Depending on which tent I need for the situation, I use one or the other. And like I said, my mom kind of co-ops the Meramac 6 every time she goes camping with us, which is totally fine with me. That's what it's for. All in all, guys, I think ALPS Mountaineering makes a fantastic tent, and there are specs on these tents, and I'll put links down in the description below where you can pick up either one of these tents if you want one. I highly recommend ALPS Mountaineering. I really like these tents, and I plan to use these tents for years to come. But those are the pros and cons of the Meramac 6 and the Taurus 6. Guys, thanks for watching Camp Outside. We exist to help moms and dads take their kids camping, hiking, fishing, learn about nature, and develop a conservation ethic. We want to help you get you and your kids outside. So if you have any questions about tent camping, these tents, or camping in general, drop something in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. You can hit us up on our other social media. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Or you can check out our website at www.campoutside.com. If you like this content, definitely hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, and hit that little bell icon that'll notify you when we release new videos. We've got a lot of stuff coming from Fort McAllister State Park, so be sure to check that out as well. And we will see you next time.